Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome back to episode
53
of Jollof after Jummah. Energies and spirits are low. I've got a good friend of mine and his brother on the podcast today.
Oh man.
Yeah, the other one's like, "Oh, take your brother with you." But yeah, man. I think there's a couple of groggy brothers on the podcast today, so your voices are sounding a bit deeper than normal. Don't worry, we're not scouting for new. I'm not anyway. Yeah, man. How are you, bro? How are you guys, man?
Alhamdulillah, good.
Alhamdulillah.
You have to tell them who you are, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though they already know, you have to tell them again who you are.
So we are the Akinpejus.
Right.
We are the Akinpejus. Bro, do you know what it is? Because I think if you go through all the pods, this guy mentions, the Akinpejus. He always mentions that as a phrase.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a lot of slander.
Your track record of this podcast is not controversial. I may not want certain details. Alright, so
Don't give my government.
so man, they're not happy with that information.
So maybe bleep it.
No, it's fine.
Are you sure?
You need a very vindictive person to do the addition.
Yeah, but none of our listeners.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man. Yeah, go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, saying who we are. Obviously, we're just a couple of the brothers from the masjid. Again, exactly. I think this is your third time or fourth time, huh?
I can't remember now. I'm losing count.
I think fourth.
Fourth. And obviously second time. So yeah, hopefully I get the hat trick sometime next year. Yeah,
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are you?
I was just here a few episodes ago. People know who I am.
They know me. I'm regular.
Regular contributor.
Cool. Socials. Let's do that now. Instead of doing it late.
Instagram and YouTube, Jollof after Jummah. Twitter's JJ_pod.
I believe, let's make ourselves accountable. Listeners, you have to be accountable. If you're listening, like I say again, and you don't like, you don't subscribe, you don't leave review, then it's as if it's as if you hate me.
You need to do some form of giveaway.
To me, the giveaway is coming. It will come.
Okay.
The giveaway is the pod, man.
It will come. Exactly.
Or first comment.
The
you
pod
know how
is
people go on with first comment.
Nah, I don't want that type of comment. I want proper comment. But at the end of the day, obviously, I feel like people always seem to have a lot of opinions on the things that are spoken about. People, they want to have conversation about the things that are spoken about. There's no reason why some of these conversations can't be started in the comment section, etc. It's good for us. It's good for you, inshallah. A bit of engagement. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to feel like all of the listeners hate me, because that's how I feel right now. If they're not commenting, not liking, it hurts my feelings. So do me a favor and leave a comment. That's basically it. And Instagram, Ibs is constantly working on ways to increase the content he puts out. He's trying his best. I know, believe it or not. Yeah. So obviously, inshallah, we'll do our bit. But it's always nice to see a little increase in the people engaged, and that will trigger us to do a lot more interactive stuff, especially on the Instagram. Isn't that right, Ibs? Inshallah. Allah grant you Taofiq that endeavour. Moving swiftly. Have I brought the tone down a bit?
Indirect, bro.
Is that no?
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not. And if it is, Jeremy.
Oh man, I feel like I'm in a PDR or something.
No, it's just cool. So as a flip reverse today, I feel like let's start so it's not an afterthought, because it shouldn't be an afterthought, with obviously the series that we've been keeping up with, which is the Seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So the life and times of the Prophet.
Exactly, yes. Thank you, translation. So the life and times of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how we can practically benefit from some of the stories and the gems in that surah and apply it to our lives today, because that is the purpose of these stories. They're not stories to tell kids at bedtime. They're stories and reminders for us to benefit from, and that goes for all of the prophets. Sorry. So to be fair, the episode was episode 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There wasn't much in it. In terms of like things you can extract from it. It was all centered around a particular story that is referenced in the Quran and Surah Taofiq, obviously, about the elephant. And we're still kind of in the pre Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's birth era, and it centers around the grandfather of the Prophet Muhammad, his who Abdul Muttalib, who also known as Shayba from last week, and how he dealt with a kind of external threat coming from abroad. He was from, where was Abraha from? Can't remember.
Yeah, Abyssinia.
Abyssinia, wasn't he? Yeah.
Modern day Ethiopia.
Yeah. So as a bit of a background to the story,
fair,
I'll let somebody else take over. Actually, I'll let somebody run through the brief story. Whoever wants to.
So story is at the time of the birth of the Prophet sallallahu the year of the elephant. At the time, there was a strong Christian kingdom in modern day Ethiopia, Abyssinia, and there was essentially a let's call him a governor that was put in charge of modern day Yemen, and he went by the name of Abraha. And he was jealous of the fact that the Arabs and the people more generally would make a pilgrimage to the Kaaba, because he had constructed what was a beautiful, magnificent church in Yemen, but people still didn't come to visit. I think there is a story about somebody going there to defecate and put all over the walls, and that really aggravated him. So he vowed that he was going to destroy the Kaaba in order to basically make his monument one and only spot in town where people could make pilgrimage to. So yeah, he amassed an army of elephants where people rode the elephants.
And 9 or 13, I think, is the two different.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, and proceeded to go towards the Kaaba. And I guess now the story is of the people in Makkah who now have heard of the news.
Just as a kind of breakaway, obviously before he got to Mecca, they reached other areas. They were met with other tribes. One people of Khatan, I think it's called, the people of obviously Taif. And what you found is when he went to those areas, you found that people were very much like, boy, do your thing in it, because they weren't in terms of the Arabs at the time, they weren't a united people at all, and they were not. It was a very much a save yourself type attitude, and it wasn't a as you'll find later, because I have faith in Allah that Allah's gonna. It was a very much like a I'm washing my hands of the situation type situation until he until they got to Mecca, which and disturbed the wrong person.
Indeed. So yeah, you need to continue the story here because it's fuzzy. But essentially, Abdul Muttalib, he was one of the leaders of the Quraysh, and
he had his livestock seized.
Indeed. So yeah, you
I don't even want to narrate the whole story, but anyway. But to wrap up, anyways, he had his livestock seized because I realized this is what people should be watching the video for, not this one. But yeah, he had his livestock seized, and his issue essentially was and the words we mentioned was he had an issue specifically with the fact that his livestock was taken by Abraha, and that is what he went to speak to him about, and it was shock to the people, of the leaders of the of the army, that you're coming here, you're not vouching for or you're not trying to defend your Kaaba, you're defending your camels, and is this what you came to me for? I thought you was a big strong leader, but all you're coming to do is talk about some camels, like you're wasting my time. And the quote, obviously, the famous quote is that I'm the Lord of the livestock. Allah is the Lord of the Kaaba. I look after my livestock, and Allah will look after his after his own. And obviously we know what happened with the birds and the destruction of the army and so forth. So like in terms of breaking away from that, I think for me anyway, that the main thing I took from this is that somebody like, so obviously this is all pre-Islam, so this is nothing to do with Islam. But what you can take from this is that even like in a pre-Islamic, you know, historic period, we can still see that there's benefit and there's heroes in history that Allah showed us, and they're not Muslim, and it shows that the non-Muslims can still be so relevant in terms of historically, in terms of you can take benefit from them, you can take knowledge from their stories. However, when you kind of go forward and you look at, you know, other members of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family, like, you know, his uncle Abu Talib, for example, like the fact that they're not Muslim is not the fact that they are heroes, they're helpers of the Muslims, they're supporters of the Muslims, all that type of stuff. It doesn't change the fact that ultimately the most important thing about their character or about their story, or how it'll end anyway, is that they're not Muslim, and that it doesn't change no matter what.
And the reverse as well is true for those who were enemies of Islam, like Ikrimah ibn Abu Jahl, and you know what I mean, really 5-star enemies of Islam who ended up becoming Muslims, and we refer to them as Sahaba.
Yeah.
Radiallahu anhu.
So like, you know, it's all about how your story kind of ends rather than your actual story. And yeah, I think that was my kind of main benefit from it, and how we can, in terms of applying it to like 2021 now, our lives now, I guess reflecting on how we see our non-Muslim compatriots, because I guess that's what kind of the main focus of this portion of whatever the episode was going to be. That like, obviously we live in London, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of, you know, colleagues, etc., a lot of family that are not Muslim. And I guess my question, kind of opening question, is how often does that kind of play on your mind when you think of these people? Like, is it something that actively pops into your head, or only some people, or is it kind of like you just put to the side because it's almost not worth thinking about, but it's almost, there might not be benefit in thinking about it or having it in the forefront of your mind?
No, it's forefront for me all the time. I'm thinking about it all the time. And I always say that, subhanAllah, when I do kind of summon up the courage to sometimes speak to, whether it's friends or family that aren't Muslim, I always say to them as well that one of the main things I'm scared of is that Yawm al-Qiyamah comes and they're using me as an excuse. They say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I didn't know about your deen because, you know, Teslim was around me all this time as my family member, as my friend. He didn't tell me about Islam. So even just by me reminding myself about that subhanAllah, you know, yes, your love for them is obviously one of the main drivers. You want them to have a good end. It's not nice to think that, you know, your grandma, your auntie, whoever it is that's not Muslim, you understand what it means to die as a non-Muslim, right? So sometimes that love and that care isn't enough to drive you to actually speak to them. It's not enough. You have to almost scare yourself, and you know the what do you call it? You have both sides of it to kind of drive you forward. So no, for sure, I think it needs to be forefront of all of our minds, and it's something that we kind of just after a few years of, if you've tried once, you say, do you know what, I tried before, didn't work. In order to kind of keep the peace within the family, which is another thing as well. You don't want to start causing rifts. Yeah. But reality is, cause your rifts now, fam. Get all the shouting, all the debating, you know, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, do it in a positive way, in as a polite way as you can,
with wisdom as
well. But with wisdom, obviously, and you know best because obviously you know your context, you know your family. But more times, I'm not speaking to myself. More times, you just let it slide. Because you see them like once every 6 months or once every 3 months, and you don't want to just be hammering them every single time you see them. So more times I tell myself that if I can't speak to them, what I'll do is I'll show them the best way in terms of my character. I'll try and reference, you know, I do this because of Islam, all that kind of stuff. Try and just to have like an informal da'wah, as it were. But now for sure, it needs to be forefront of our minds because we're going to be asked about it. There's no way we can be living in this land in a land of disbelievers as believers, knowing the truth, and we hold it to ourselves. It's impossible that we'll be able to get away from that. So the Muslims in the West have a massive responsibility, especially when it comes to our family as well. So yeah, no, for sure.
Ibs?
It's an interesting one, I guess. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think it's not. I don't know. It's weird. It's not something that's really occurred much to me. I don't think I've ever thought of it in that way. But I guess that's a reminder for me as well that the non-Muslims that you are around, we do need to, I guess, try our best to at least give them some form of that one. I think we've mentioned it on the podcast board, that example that you gave of kind of like just like informal that way of saying, or when you do something, or when someone maybe commends you on something that you just a light reference, and that I think that will make people think you don't have to stand outside a station with a stall and call people to Islam. It's just little things like
even
that.
Even though that works, you know, for me, I've never understood how that works, to be honest, like the Dawah table and whatnot. Yeah. But it works, subhanAllah.
Does it?
It actually does work. You have a lot of...
Oh, the Dawah table.
The Dawah table, yeah.
Okay, that's different from the shout out on the street.
No, not shouting. Not, you know, but the Dawah table aspect, growing up, I used to think that whenever I walk past it, I say, how is this working? Like, how will people just walk past you and I want to change their life? But subhanAllah, you don't know what inspires. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you don't know what can inspire something in someone's heart. So anything you can do. The issue being, sorry to cut you off. The issue being is that sometimes I feel I get lazy. So then the maximum of what I do is that I want to be I'll be a good Muslim role model. Yeah. And then you actually forget the aspect of giving da'wah, telling someone about Islam, as opposed to just, I do this because I'm Muslim and having a very informal thing.
It can be a bit of a cop out.
It's basically because I'm doing my job. So it's
very entry level, isn't it?
And I think the subtext is one where you don't want, like Tess said, you don't want to breach the peace. And you want to maintain that base level of respect, especially given that there's that element of, definitely like a lot of Islamophobia back home in Nigeria, like, or anti-Muslim sentiment, put it that way, probably better to put it that way. So when you do have family member who is accepting of you, for you to then flip it and almost appear that you're not accepting of them, they're looking at you like, you okay?
I feel like Nigeria is the worst. Not the worst place, but I feel like Nigeria's got this culture, and I guess it's probably seen as a good thing in a way, in a lot of cases, but I don't know if it actually is, where Christianity and Islam is almost too fluid. Yeah, it's almost
that's in Yoruba land.
Oh yeah, okay.
But increasingly, that's becoming not the case as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
but I guess from when I think of my family,
actually no. But what you're saying, it actually is quite fluid. But then it's fluid in the sense that Muslims assimilate to Christianity.
Yeah, that's more.
Christians don't assimilate to Islam or to what Muslims do.
Yeah.
So
the Muslim will say is Alafia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so it's one of them ones where you know and that's why a lot of Muslims, like when we were growing up in Nigeria, a lot of Muslims that you find don't even go by their Muslim names. And then they'll see someone wearing hijab, or they'll see someone who's visibly Muslim. Assalamu alaikum. Just thinking, yo, you Muslim? Yeah, you know what I mean? So
even the Muslims, some Nigerian Muslims will say, "Oh, Jesus," as I say, that is kufr.
They literally say Jesus.
So you know that is
I guess, and they don't see it. They don't even see it as problematic.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Do you think you obviously when we're in school days, I can safely assume that for most of us, when we're choosing our friends, picking our friends, whatever, we're not thinking about Muslim, like Islam.
Growing up,
like secondary school times. Obviously, I guess, was there a stage or an age where you probably started to be more active in who you're taking as a friend, not an acquaintance, and started trying to maybe
So I'll give the uni example, and shout out to my Bengalis, but ISOC is just full of Bengalis, and as much as we're Muslim, we don't vibe on that level. Like there's bare people from ISOC. I don't know their names. I just say salam. General salam. I don't know. No. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. I do have my
views are expressed by Taofiq. I like Regardie.
My boy that recited at my wedding, he's Bengali, right? Really good friend. I went Umrah with him. I got a black friend.
Right.
I work with him.
Talk Bengali.
Mashallah. But the point is that there were few of them that I could say that they were my friends. Like you, man, the Man brothers. I mean, Muslim Association of Nigeria brothers. You lot were my friends, right? And then I had other black Nigerian friends, or just black African friends, or black friends, right? And then so it's that element where we need to have something else in common, right? So the ones who are, let's say, you're proper practicing and stuff like that, I can be friends with you on that level. But let's say you're just your average Joe who is just about there, like I don't need to chill with you. I'm sorry, like we don't vibe. And we're not benefiting each other in this relationship.
What amongst the Muslims, you mean?
Amongst the Muslims, because they're just run of the mill guys.
So for me, the madness. Run of the mill.
These basic ones, like
these basic. Mate. What I would say is that, to answer your question, I probably started that kind of delineation in regards to who do I call a friend way too late. I honestly wish I started a lot earlier, because it would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of issues, a lot of not going astray, but a lot of just distractions left, right, center. I think I started maybe second year of uni, and it's kind of like if I just started first year of uni, it would have just made things so much more easier. Because as you say, I understand what Taofiq is saying in regards to the Muslims that I went to Bristol, University of Bristol, and the Muslims there, if I'm being honest, if they weren't Muslims, I wouldn't chill with them. Like, we didn't connect on that level in terms of just upbringing and whatnot. But what I've come to realize now is that it doesn't matter. Like, that shouldn't be the litmus test to determine who's your friend. If I could go back now, those guys, I'll be with them 24/7 now. Because the guys who I did vibes with were the wrong crowd. Like, at the end of the day, you might say that, he's Christian, he goes to church, or maybe they're not even that practicing. Anyway, whatever religion they are, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that they're going to be doing that is going to be at odds with what your moral kind of standard is. At the end of the day, period. And I can count so many situations where it's just because I'm around them that I just ended up being around this or being around that. If not, I would not even be involved. And then it's then hard to, especially in uni, because you're around 24/7, to then cut ties after the fact. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not strong enough, if you're still trying to build yourself and get on the right track, when you have those friends that are still prodding you and just inviting you, just a simple invite, that itself is problematic. So I think as early as possible, do it as early as possible. Not that obviously, in case there are any my non-Muslim friends that are watching this, obviously it's still love, but at the end of the day, when you don't share that moral compass, there's always going to be something that is driving you apart. And that's why, alhamdulillah, we've been blessed with the community of brothers that we grew up with. Because not only are you guys like I'll say friends or like cousins, like brothers, like we have that. If I didn't have the Man brothers, subhanAllah, it would have been very difficult for me to then break those bonds, because it's like you don't have anything else. It's easy for me. I had a fallback with the brothers and I grew up with you guys. I know what you guys are on, and we can vibe together. But for people who don't have that, they're literally just solo, they're cutting ties, and then what other community do they have? So it's difficult. It's very difficult.
I think kind of linking to what we were talking about before, just a question. Obviously, I guess it's easier and kind of safer for yourself to, I guess, cut ties with those kind of people depending on where you're at with your own kind of iman and things. But could we maybe try a different route and maybe try and bring those people closer to us?
It's
a question. It's a question. Like I said, it's completely hypothetical.
I think
it's a question.
When Tess was speaking, it reminded me of the hadith about the perfume seller and the blacksmith. Like the good friend is like a perfume seller.
Yeah, of course.
Either he gives you perfume or you just leave him smelling nice. Or the bad friend is like a blacksmith, because like you go there and like the ideal. Okay, maybe modern times. I always give this example and get AbdulRahman offended, but imagine rather than a blacksmith, a mechanic. Like you go to their workshop. Let's say you're in a white Taub, yeah. You go to their workshop. There's no way you're coming out of that workshop without a stain or two. Yeah. Right. So. So
mechanic lifestyle.
so yeah, he's right from that perspective that you can't and even I know I don't really take a lot of people as intimate friends anyway. Like I'm a loner, to be fair. Alhamdulillah, I'm married, so I got my wife to be my friend. But otherwise, like, you know how people
will you be my friend?
No, but yeah, because I know some people who is like either every weekend they got a motive with a friend, or they're always calling up to check on friends and stuff like that, which is good. I wish I had that quality of checking in on people, but I'm really not like that. We'll pick up where we left off next time I see you. Like, it's love. And then we take it from there.
Just
120 WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, trust me. Just to add to what you just said as well, the issue with that notion that, okay, you're going to try and bring them back or try and give them down, which is obviously what we started off this conversation with. Obviously, you should try to do that.
Yeah.
For me personally, how I found that to be problematic, because for the longest time, even up until uni, I was seen as the most practicing member of my friendship group. And whenever you're in that situation, you're in trouble. Yeah, you're in trouble. So again, if you're always surrounding yourself by people who aren't doing the right thing, and you're the one constantly calling them, but you know yourself that you're not actually level as yourself. Yeah. There's no way, no how. Human nature, you're gonna feel some kind of way that actually, man's doing it. Like, I'm calling you guys to good and whatnot, and no one's calling you. So you then become very kind of sedentary in regards to your religion. You become complacent because you feel like you're that guy. You're calling people towards good. So it kind of stops your progress. So you need to be what I did anyway. I tried to kind of find people who I felt were better than me, who can push me. I'm not the only one always pushing other people. Obviously, don't cut ties with them, because again, we know what the reward is if one person accepts Islam, even a Muslim or a non-Muslim, becomes more practicing. That it's in of itself is beneficial for you, but obviously you need to focus on number one first before you start having others.
100%.
From my point of view, to be fair though, I think I'll not oppose what Tara said, but I think it may be because we're probably different intrinsically. So that for me, in terms of, I feel like me and Tara, as much as we get on, we are quite different in terms of, like, for example, the friends that I would have made in college, for example, and the friends or uni or whatever, and that you would have made are probably very different. Even though we're friends, I'm sure the rest of our friends are very different. I'm a bit, and he's good, proper person.
I know what you're saying.
I think Tar gets it anyway. I'm a bit more, rough around the edges.
Into the streets. He's a politician.
Yeah, exactly. He's a scholar. I'm a scholar. But yeah, so for me, for example, I guess it's weird, isn't it? Because I can say alhamdulillah, but I don't know if it's even a good thing. So before going to uni, I made a tight. Well, still a lot of these are still still my guys, isn't it? So the sixth one, the college man, isn't it? And of them, only a couple of those people in the whole circle are Muslim, and it's a big circle, and we're close, bros. And I guess when I was going uni, I was kind of almost going with the mindset where I proper didn't care about making friends at all, and up until then, I probably didn't have any type of exposure to Muslims that weren't Muslims, that weren't black Nigerian Muslims at all. I didn't know any Asian, and I grew up in Peckham and that, so just black people. There's no and I went to Catholic school, Christian school, so I never met any Muslims that weren't black. So going to uni, I was of the mindset where it's I got my bros, I don't need but no new friends, all of that stuff. So I remember I was going on the first day, and I'm on the train because I commuted for like a few months before I moved out, and like obviously first day going somewhere, you're lost and all that, and then I just see a guy, Asian guy, beard, and he's like, yo, my bro, like if you think I'm hood, this guy, he's local as well. It's funny. I was like, oh, so anyway, so you know, he's talking a bit, you know, he finds out obviously, well, you're Muslim, you know, the whole, you know, when you revolt, like, kind of, etc. I'm joking, he didn't say that, but like, as we're walking together, whatever, we bond and we end up becoming tight, good friends. Yeah, to this day we're still good friends. Families kind of know each other, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and he's Pakistani, innit? Or you know, like African but Pakistani, and yeah, one of those, and like the rest of the brothers or whatever, I feel like through them we became, and within that group, obviously there's people, you know, there's people whose iman is, you know, is in the sky. There's, you know, there's Hafid in the group, and then there's, you know, what obviously we're all the brothers, quote unquote, the Muslim guys. Yeah. We are the ISOC because the uni is not big, so we are literally the Muslim community, and we're all basically friends. And I was the only black person. However, I feel like there was definitely some education points that were needed at some times or whatever. But by the time, obviously, we're together literally in a small confined space for 4 years. By the end of it, like we're tight and we're all good friends, yeah. And they probably showed me a side of, I'd say they'd probably widened my Islamic scope in a way that I might not have got at the time anyway, from the random. And like, and literally as I left uni, I didn't make, I'm trying to think, like, I wouldn't say I made a black friend in uni. Yeah, like, and you know, you have to make sure you don't offend someone, but I don't I don't, like, as in, like, it was exclusively,
even the one you did Justice League with,
them
want to beat up the guy.
What? It's open cases, bro.
Do you remember when we gave him the title Justice League?
I forgot it.
I'm trying to remember.
You can build it out after.
Say it.
It's like you were saying that maybe, I don't know, one of your housemates tuck him in or something like that.
Exactly, that's my op.
Yeah, but
that was just a housemate.
Okay, your housemate. Sure, your friend.
Not Abdul Malik's friend. Like, what are you sweating for, bro? Question actually, sorry, on that. So you said you didn't make any new friends, obviously. Hold on. Tight with. Yeah, sorry. You said
start again. Question. Yeah, go on.
On what you just said now.
Yeah.
You made it like tight brothers, you might tight friends and whatnot over the 4 years. What did that do to your relationship with your brothers or with your black friends back home? Sixth form friends. I mean.
Okay, so I guess this is probably a bit that I didn't mention. So for me, there's different. Like, you have different, you know, different. It's like a chest of drawers. Like, you have different compartments, and you have different strokes for different folks. If you get what I mean. So yeah, so you have, like, you don't have one type of friend. For example, what you may gain from my man that went to your house the other day, and what the kind of conversation you have and the kind of conversations we have are different. Same with like me and Rams and me. It's different, isn't it? Like, when I'm around the older man, for example, when I'm around, it's very different, isn't it? You know what I mean? What at Rams's, for example, it's very different than how it is. Do you get me? But it's still, like, do you know what I mean? It's different. Like, you see, I was having fun that day as well. So yeah, like, wait, what was your question? Sorry,
I said, how did it affect your relationship?
Oh yes, how did it affect? Yeah, so I'd say I probably did the compartmentalization thing where
them man are your gym friends, and
like, I've got these are my gym ones. These are my, like, you know, like man that we chill with, go gym, whatever. And then I've got the uni ones, the ones that are my friends in uni. And then I've got my man people. And at this time still as well, first year of uni, that's when my connection to man wasn't even there yet. Like, it was just starting, really. It's just starting, really. I didn't, like, when I started going youth, that type of thing. Yeah. That was probably in first year where I started going. So in terms of, like, reconnect, like, connection, like that constant reminder of Islam, that type of thing, those people were needed, and the love is deep for that. And we got on, because it's like, for me, a lot of my kind of entertainment, a lot of the jokes I have, whatever, do come from that place of being a Nigerian or whatever, Nigerian, South London, whatever. But a lot of it is just like more where I am than, you know, my background. So in those levels, just the fact that two people from, you know, some sort of inner city London area in East London and South London, Croydon, whatever, just the fact that we have that a lot of the time is enough to build a strong foundation of a friendship. And then when you add in the Islam as well, there's definitely enough there to carry a lot. However, at that time, the love and, you know, the attachment to the man them, not the man them, like the college man them, was still probably strong as well. So I don't know, it almost became that was like, you know, you do that thing where these are like my Muslim people and these are like my normal friends. You know, when you do that, and then as you grow, your priorities shift and that group tends to, you know, trim down and etc. Go on.
I guess what kind of helped you, or what seems like it helped you, is that you had kind of defined activities that you would have or do with those non-Muslim friends, like gym or whatnot. So if we're just talking on a basic level, just friendships, as if you go to them, you go to their house.
I probably undersold it, like as in those are like all of their mums know.
Swear.
My mum, yeah, as in like,
so the issue that I find with that is that, or that I found in my kind of relationship with my friends, is that the more I started to try to practice, or I got more Muslim friends, the harder, or that put me off. The more I started to practice, or I started to get more Muslim friends, the more I saw faults in like my non-Muslim friends, if that makes, or I saw the impact, the negative impacts that they're having on me. So that kind of made me kind of step back from them a little bit.
I think production. Go on.
I think one thing that I've kind of noticed from the friendship that you have with those kind of non-Muslim friends is that even though they're not Muslim and you are, or some of them are, you all share quite a similar moral compass.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. And production can attest to this.
How?
The thing is, a lot of them, most of them, especially like at that age and even to this day, are very, in terms of morally or how they behave, you'd probably say that they're closer to a lot of the Muslims than I know, if you get what I mean. So, and that's the thing, and that's why, and it's weird because it's that weird grey area, where you get people that, in terms of, I can live my life like and be completely, what's the word? I don't have to compromise. I don't want to say this, but it feels like I don't have to compromise any of the religion. It's easy to practice. The conversations we're having, even the conversations we're having about religion or how their take on religion, in terms of like, there's some, and it's annoying, and this is the one that will annoy you, because I'll have conversations with certain friends, and every single thing that they will say about the religion that they follow, so like Christianity, for example, or what Christianity, how it appears today, you know, in the churches, etc. All their gripes are suggestive of somebody that should be Muslim. Do you know what I mean? And and you know, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I can have these friends because they're basically Muslim, they're just not Muslim. And it'll be like an excuse kind of, but it's and that's why I kind of didn't want to say it, but it's almost like for a lot of them, most of them, especially the ones that I'm kind of still talking to now, if they were to say everything that they kind of feel in terms of their major criticisms, like we'll have conversations about, and we'll both be attacking Catholics together. Do you know what I mean? About and or like, you know, the business that has become a lot of the church and that type of thing. And it's like we're basically on the same page in almost
not guiding to Islam.
Exactly, in every way, and it's almost like, and that's why it didn't surprise me that it didn't surprise me that one of the men didn't fell in it. Oh, sorry, elevated. He fell for the train. It didn't surprise. Maybe it surprised me of all the people who it was, but again, like we all know, a lot of guys who he wants, and obviously, you know, we are like all of them, man. So it's weird, like, because I, even when I wasn't probably actively, you know, thinking Islam the way I am, in terms of the things that are deemed as sins, generally, most of I've never had an issue with the avoidance of sin, or knowing what's right and wrong, or doing that, or picking the right friends, or going to certain areas, or it wasn't just because I'm not Muslim, I'm going to clubs, I'm going to parties. It was never that, in it. Or I'm drinking. It's never been that. Alhamdulillah, I found that it's always so my friends naturally aligned with that, and they were the friends that despite it being kind of maybe easy for them to it maybe, despite it maybe being easy for them to do that, because, you know, I guess maybe in certain religions like Christianity in South London or London, it's easier for them to feel like they can do these things and not be compromising their religion. The friends I had probably didn't align to that way of thinking. They were kind of on the more right is right, wrong is wrong. Like if it's a sin, it's a sin. Just because maybe Pastor A doesn't mind you doing it, or Pastor A might facilitate it, doesn't mean that it's okay. Do you know what I mean? So I think there are a lot of Muslims, and I guess it's good that we mentioned it, because there are a lot of people that might be their situation, that they might not be able to find Muslim friends, but then they might feel, okay, I'm okay because the people I'm with are good people. And I guess in some ways, yeah, but it's still something that we have to be wary of. Like, you know, 100%. That man is on the religion of his friends. Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
So it's I think it's good that we mention it, because it's a false sense of security that you can feel. Yeah, man, it's weird.
Yeah, building on what you brothers have said around, so what's gone on since uni, I think what's helped me the most is, for me, when I went Umrah and just deleted my social media and I just didn't get it back. And all of those acquaintances or friends that were just tangential friends, where I might see what you're doing or you might see what I'm doing, and keep that connection. Once social media was gone, you don't know what's going on in my life, I don't know what's going on in your life, or cut. It's like, so for anyone looking for a quick way out, delete your social media. And unless you're in a situation where you're on a messaging kind of level, which then okay, those WhatsApp groups you might want to excuse yourself from as well. But at least just those general acquaintances that you might have picked up along the way, that's one way to.
I think is when you'll find us when you start kind of naturally just becoming more busy, and you as you get older, and this happens in life. Everybody's got bare friends when they're in school. It's just how it is. And when they're in uni, as you get more busy, as long as you're doing, you know, busy things that a busy person should be doing, and you're kind of surrounding yourself in religious activities that you should be doing, it should make itself a lot easier. So you find that you seem to have a lot of time to be doing a lot of things with people you shouldn't be doing things with. If you start doing more good things, you start doing more good deeds, you know what I mean? And you'll find that it becomes harder to do bad deeds. Start praying. You make praying 5 times a day essential. You'll find that you can't do certain things. Make a, do you know what I mean? It's I think it's something that people overcomplicate, because the idea of distancing yourself from certain people or whatever, it becomes, I mean, but it hurts, isn't it? I wouldn't say I've actively distanced.
They've not done anything, so like, why are you acting this way?
Exactly. I wouldn't say I've actively distanced myself from I wouldn't say I've ever, okay, apart from, is that the one was making sure that, for example, eradicating, and we'll get to this later, making sure that in terms of anything that's going to be affecting how easy it is to lower your gaze, that's the one where that's a bit different, because that means, you know, that's when you're actively, I'm unfollowing everyone, I'm deleting them, that type of stuff. But in terms of let's keep it man them to man them, girl them to girl them type thing, like, it's generally, if you I don't think you actually have to actively disconnect from people, because maybe. Do you know, just because I was like, boy. Okay, I guess, and do you know, I guess this speaks to, I guess you can tell maybe just the friends that I had. Maybe it speaks to the friends that I had, because the friends that I had are not the type of people that I need to run away from. They're the people that I might need to. It's better for me to be with maybe Muslims all the time then, but they're not the people that if I'm spending the whole day with you, I'm gonna do nonsense. Yes, but obviously,
no, for sure. Like there are certain.
That's speaking for me.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, and you've spoken about how like your non-Muslim friends maybe already aligned with you more on a moral perspective, but the reality is, for the majority of us, that's not the reality. At the end of the day,
fair enough.
Majority of our non-Muslim friends have a certain kind of viewpoint on life that isn't. It's just at odds with how we want to be living our lives, or aspiring to living our lives as Muslims. So for me, and we just mentioned that it hurts. It actually does hurt, and as you said, it's because they haven't done anything. So it's very hard to. It's almost like you're breaking up with all your friends, like to a certain degree. It's like, oh yeah, it's not you, it's me. Like literally, it's that. Honestly, it's literally that. But what I did, I actually actively had to do that. I actually had to sit down with certain people and be like, yo, obviously I can't be hanging out with you too much anymore.
I've never heard that before.
Literally, no, because I had to explain it. I had to be very explicit, and obviously it goes to the other topic as well with our friends of opposite gender as well. That one was even more difficult because growing up in London as we did, obviously if you don't take an Islamic perspective from it, the way you make friends with males is the same way you make friends with females. For when I was growing up, anyway, there's no distinction. There was no distinction between that. So and that itself, I ended up with at uni with a lot of friends, both male and female, who I've basically grown up with. Oh, that's my brother. Oh, that's my sister. Do you get what I mean?
That word, boy.
So this is what I'm saying. It's so problematic. So if you're not coming from and from their perspective, they're like, yeah, it's cool, but I've known you since secondary school. I've known you since, like, do you know what I mean? It's not even a thing. So this is obviously, I know we're going to the other topic, but you almost have to. I had to actively do it. I couldn't just say, generally just pushing away. I actually actively send messages and be like, yo, It's literally like a breakup text. Very odd.
There was a point at the end of the first episode of the Seerah, and I cannot remember exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of you. If you can remind me, because I'm going to completely butcher this. I think he said if you kind of free yourself from disappointing others by committing yourself to being a slave of Allah. Is that what he said? I can't remember that, but it was something along those lines, and I remember that because it was like when I thought about it, I was like, again, he said you free yourself from kind of like disappointing others by being a slave of Allah, and it's like if you kind of commit yourself to doing what Allah wants and what makes Allah happy, you're not going to be worried about what other people think of you. 100%. You're not going to be more about what people think of you. So that kind of really hit home for me. So, I mean, that's interesting. I've never heard of someone physically having to
because you have to explain in
their friends, but
because if not, then you distance yourself, and they still think that everything's calm, and then
or they don't. I mean,
then you catch them in the supermarket from this woman, I promise.
COVID. Take the elbow.
So hold on, but this is reality. Obviously, I'm not here to just expose myself, but I'm only saying it because it's a reality. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, that wasn't. Unfortunately, I didn't have that as in the back of my mind that Tez. Girls are different from boys. It's all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah, of course.
So subhanAllah, it's a reality. What happens when you see someone that you haven't seen since secondary school or sixth form, and you want on a particular level, and you see them now? They're still gonna think that if you don't tell them or if you don't make it clear as to what's what, they're still gonna think that it's calm.
That's true.
You have to be as explicit and obviously as wise as possible when you're doing it. It's not like just and saying that you're the devil and all that kind of stuff. You have to do it with a certain sense of
I think that's
wisdom
that's very good advice for the especially for that the kind of if anyone's listening at that kind of secondary school uni age, that be explicit, make it should be clear. People should know. People should know that when they see you, you're not the type of guy that I can ask certain things. I can invite to certain places. I can touch if I'm who. Do you know what I mean? People should know. They should know. If they don't know, then it means that you probably are not selling yourself in a
told them.
Well, some people are mad. There will always be mad people, but generally,
for the most part,
just assume that everyone is mad. Not to be mad.
It's true. Yeah, man. Do you want the scenario to introduce the next bit?
Okay, interesting.
The way I've hyped it.
Just a very, very quick disclaimer. If the microphone is picking up any music or anything, there's a neighbour downstairs. So that's just a quick disclaimer.
Yeah. Was you there?
No.
In terms of the next bit, I want to kind of use a scenario to kind of introduce us to it, but it will touch a lot upon, husband-wife interaction and also raising like children, because that's the setting. So if we go there, we go there. It's all right. Don't worry, that we can go there. But yeah. So essentially, hold on. Oh, okay. I just got this message. Cool. So your daughter is 11 years old. She has a friend that is a boy who is a Muslim from another Muslim family who you have been close to for years. He is 12 years old. He's 12 years old. She needs help preparing for a school exam so she can get into grammar school. He met her one day and said that he would help her study. You find out that your wife caught them in the act in the park studying and different act, and that he could
in the act studying.
Yeah, the act of studying. In the act of studying.
In the act of.
Do you know, it's because I wrote this like 4 weeks ago, innit? So I haven't read it since. So I can't even remember what I said. Okay, let me start again. So your daughter is 11 years old. She has a friend that is a boy who is Muslim from another family, so like a family friend, from another Muslim family who you have been close to for years. So your families have been close for years. So maybe this could be, for example, Taofiq and Ibrahim's children. Notice I didn't put me in there. He is 12 years old too. He's 12 years old. No, yeah. She needs help preparing for a school exam so she can get into grammar school. He met her one day, and obviously the context is he's probably already done this exam. Yeah. And she's the year below. So he met her one day and said that he would help her study. You find out that your wife caught them studying in the park, and she said that he could continue to tutor her. However, they would have to do it in one of the two houses when one of the parents were at home. You find this out when you walk into the dining room and find the two of them laughing together. What do you do, and how do you communicate this with your wife?
Okay, interesting.
So there's layers to this, obviously.
So who was the first one to identify that? This guy can help. This young man can.
They
help.
discovered this themselves.
Okay, fair enough. They're family friends, isn't it? Like a family are friends. So they're family
first
friends.
of parent involvement was when your wife saw them studying.
Yeah.
Studying. No, that's what they're claiming here. Studying in the park.
Okay, so that's problematic anyway. So you're saying studying in the park. One who goes to the park to study.
Huh?
Who goes to the park to study?
People that don't feel like they can come home to study together.
You go to the library to study.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, fair enough. Don't put
exactly. No, so that's what I'm saying. That's the first thing, that kind of thing. Okay, you're studying in the park.
You go where you want to go.
Is what it is. Okay, who studies in the park? But it goes back to what I was saying before, right? You have to come with the right kind of mindset to it. Do they understand the restrictions that exist between the interactions between a boy and a girl, or a male and a female? I
think them being in the park probably shows that they do.
Exactly. So that's the main issue. If it was the situation where my 11-year-old daughter came to me and said, Dad, so and so, who's 12 years old, is really good at this. Can you ask him to teach me or set it up? And we then create a situation where he comes to the house, and even though that's not ideal, obviously you want to try and find a tutor that's a woman or someone that's a bit older, that where that interaction isn't going to cause fitna, because at the end of the day they're youths. Yeah. But let's say he's the only one for argument's sake, then you then control it from the very inception. The fact that you caught them in the act in the park studying, that's problematic itself.
I mean, these Muslims are so extreme.
I think that's why I wrote No, that's why I wrote it deliberately. Deliberately like that.
I think that's where the problem comes, is because they don't understand. They obviously don't understand that there's a restriction in that regard. And obviously, me as a father, if they're at that level, maybe I haven't done my job in communicating that. So you said, okay, my wife found out, and then she told them to come home to
their house,
to one of the houses and whatnot. Yeah. Which is technically what we're saying. If we're saying that he's the only one who can help her, that should be the ideal. Like there's a chaperone in the house who's
like, as in he's not the only one that can. He's not the only one that can help her though.
I know. This is what I'm trying to say. So if for argument's sake, if he's the only one, then fair enough. If he's not, then nah.
But he's not in it.
Okay, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Reality is the ideal is that you find that I'm sure there are tutors, there are professionals who can do this. So there's not some snot-nosed 12-year-old sitting around my door. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, we have to understand that those interactions need to be restricted within reason, and the fact that they felt comfortable to do that in the first place means that one or both of the parents have not failed, but needs to do some work in communicating that to them so that they understand what's what.
Yeah, I think.
But they're only 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's.
What do you mean?
To be honest, I think
When the PBE start?
I think there are some kind of positives you can draw from there, and it's just kind of like maybe we need to go a step further in communicating the actual restrictions, because, like you said, the fact that they're studying, I guess, in a public place kind of shows that they do kind of understand, they're kids. Let's remember that they're kids at the end of the day. At 11 and 12.
11 and 12, I had sense.
12-year-old boys. Do you know what I mean?
Come on, man. At 11 and 12, we could have. Let's just be honest.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. If you want coming from that perspective,
What do you mean?
because you're saying that that he understands that there should be restrictions between.
I'm saying that on a basic level,
Yeah.
that they both kind of understand that there are some form of restrictions,
Okay.
and that they know that if we are going to do this, we need to do this in a particular way. That,
Okay.
do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So there is some form of sense there. Me at 12 years old, I don't think I understood that, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm just saying that there is that kind of positive you can draw from that, and just build on that and say, okay, you've tried to do something in a good way. However, this is the way it should be done. So it doesn't need to be straight that, oh, you've done something. That's
So you're
basically-
having Hassan done that they've gone to a public area to study because
I guess. Yeah. Because
for me, in that scenario, what
They
I'd say for me
probably
is that
go to separate. They probably go to separate schools. They
went
don't
to
have
the park
access
to
to anywhere
go
else.
and relax, and then the mum caught them and said, "Oh,
Just a
what's
whistle.
starting? What's starting?" In the park.
Is that because that's your
What are you saying?
Tess is on the next bench saying it's not you, it's me.
It's not me, fam.
Huh?
No, I don't have much to add to the scenario. It's pretty
What about what is our reaction to our wife? Because remember we heard about this.
Yeah,
Our first-
that speaks to more, how do you communicate with your wife? Are you kind of a texter, like on the go, on the move, or is it more like at the end of the day we trust each other to do stuff within our judgment and we discuss it afterwards? You know what I mean? You go at some level, you need to know,
because this has been happening. Like, this isn't the first time it's happened. I don't know if you caught that in the way I wrote
this
it.
isn't the first time that he's come to the
No,
house.
so it's just that the first time
You've seen him in the house.
it's because that's how you
Okay.
find out by
Okay,
maybe it was on annual leave, maybe on annual leave, or
okay, yeah, then that means there's a lapse of communication between the mum and the dad. That, okay, you're letting that this should be a point of discussion. More generally, families should have some form of retrospective, we call it family meeting, where you sit down and you discuss how things went, what went well, what didn't go so well, what do you want to improve.
What do you mean? That's standard. That's standard.
Why did he kiss his
Why
teeth?
kiss your teeth? That's standard. Anyone that's listening and you're married, try and have family meetings with your missus. Honestly,
do you know what it is? I think
Open communication.
Do you know what it is? For me.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
this guy kissing his brother. My wife. Can you imagine? When I was talking Saudi Arabia, and I'm from Saudi Arabia. So we should talk to me. We should not talk.
Women doesn't talk in Saudi Arabia, and I'm from Saudi Arabia, so a woman must not talk to me.
You mean your wife has mouths?
Ask you question. What went well? What went bad?
Yeah,
So it's
I know what it is.
Redeem yourself.
Test your waist, man.
oh my days.
He buried you before you could even talk.
I don't have a problem with any of that. You know what? It's because it just came across as so formal, and I just that's why I kissed my teeth. It came across as mad formal. It doesn't have to be like that. That's why I just kissed it. I don't have a problem with that. No.
Yeah, send your weekly review in by Friday for discussion on Saturday's meeting.
Women doesn't. Oh my days.
You might have to send me that clip, you know.
Yeah, I would have to.
For me, I think it obviously the person who wrote it, obviously, it highlights, and this is what I'm trying to get at it, a possible lapse in your how you actually see the situation, or disparity in how you see the situation between you and your wife. Because for me, what it shows is that you walk in, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
And then, but to her, they're just, and almost as in they were doing something. The first, inclination that the kids may be, operating at a level that's maybe, sub halal, was in the park when obviously they were doing what they were doing. for me, I don't know. If one's in secondary school, one's in primary school, I don't know where they're gonna revise apart from the park without because there's no like. Oh, I guess they can go to a public library, but whatever. Cool.
Or to the house.
Yeah, but wow, yeah, they went in the house for a reason. They're family friends, but they went in the house for a reason. So, but her act. I'm adding like her decision was to just come to the house. Daddy doesn't have to know.
Halal fights.
Daddy doesn't have to. And the first way you found out was that they're in the house, and it's something that if you were involved at the beginning, it may not have happened. But this has now been happening. So obviously you're gonna have to almost, because you're gonna go to your child and their fault is gonna be that basically the family friends, we can assume maybe they knew about it, they don't mind. Mum doesn't mind. I'm the only really person who minds in this situation because you're the first person who's gonna put the brakes on this situation. And it was basically hidden from you.
Is that the direction we're going with, that it was hidden, that mum did it
to me it's in if you weren't told and the child was doing something that the mum deemed not right. It's like
I'm choosing. I guess you can interpret it that way.
I want you to.
I'm choosing. If in the case of the scenario, if that's the way you want,
that's why I put. How do you talk? What do you say to
then
them?
then it's a problem. That obviously, I think there needs to be a separate conversation that you have with your daughter and a separate conversation that you need to have with your wife as one. Not why do you think this is okay, because clearly you don't think this is okay because you've hidden it from me. Yeah. So yeah, there's clearly that
the energy from the start. Yeah,
but to be fair,
I mean that speaks to some
you create that scenario.
As well, this speaks to brothers in the courtship stage when you're looking and identifying a wife. How you want to raise your kids needs to be brought to the table. You know what I mean, come up with scenarios or just have how were you raised in these situations? Okay, this how would I have wanted it to be different if we're doing it proper halal? You need to have these conversations because a lot of times people approach marriage as though it's just a relationship one to one, which is maybe true for the first year or two. But once kids start coming to the picture, you realize you have completely different views on how to raise kids. That can cause a lot of conflict because you both feel as entitled to your position as the other, right? So yeah, I think just it's a good opportunity to give that reminder that in that selecting stage, you better have all those questions ready. You better ask Abdulrahman to send you some scenarios.
I got better. The book's coming out still.
Are you sure you want us to interpret the scenario in that way?
Yeah, because
are you sure you want us to interpret it in that way?
I want you guys to, yeah.
Because I can poke a few holes in that.
Go on.
If you're trying to hide it from your husband,
take me on.
Why would you bring them to your house?
Why would you bring them to your house?
If you're trying to hide it from your husband.
If you weren't trying to hide it from your husband,
trying to hide it from the husband.
You said that you want us to interpret it in a way that you've clearly tried to keep this from your husband and they're studying together.
Not actively.
What does that mean?
Because you
passively.
Because you haven't. No, you haven't told him.
I know.
So you're trying to hide it from him.
Because I remember
deniability. You're one of those also. It's like, it's just didn't come up.
But then why would you bring them into your home? This is why I said I'm trying to look at it in a different way. I'm trying to look at it in a way you've seen them doing something that they shouldn't be doing alone, so you wanted to chaperone them, and maybe you've just forgot to mention it. That's the way I'm choosing to see it.
Yeah. All right, good husband. All right, we'll move on then. Cool.
Thinking the best.
Cool. So
no, but just on that as well, just to add to what Ibrahim said in regards to how you address it, if we were interpreting it as she's actually trying to hide something from you, it's important that you're not, when you come in and you see the two youths doing what they're doing, that you don't not flip out and you're not scolding her in front of the kids or all that kind of stuff. You need to create a united front, because if it's a case that but mum said it was fine and then you're coming in and putting down the hammer, then that creates that discord, and it doesn't allow for harmony within the family, where the daughter or the son, whoever it is thinking that mum's this way and that's that way. Ideally, you want a situation where both parents are on the same page and they're coming and they're saying this as a united front. So you take your wife to the side, let her explain what she was thinking, and if it turns out, oh yeah, I wanted to hide it from you, so why? Like that needs to be addressed. Why is she hiding stuff from you in the first place? It should, as Tal said, there should be open and clear communication. That's the only way that relationship is going to be able to build effectively and successfully. And then after, then you come together and speak to the daughter or to the son. When you start creating, oh, daddy says this and mum says that and all that kind of stuff. You even mentioned as well that, oh, but the other family thinks is okay. Oh, no one cares. No one cares about what the family thinks. But this is what I'm telling you. And even then, you then go and speak to the other family and explain to them. Because at the end of the day, it's part of being qawwam over our women to a certain degree, where we stand firm in those kind of situations, like where we're not bending and saying, actually, okay, it's okay.
Even with the son as well, to set a good example for him and be like, this is the way things need to be done. Let's say that you're the father of the son in this situation, and they're both in your sitting room. You know, this is
not the way. Yeah. I actually want to marry her. Just, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take him aside and be like, yo, if you want to marry my daughter,
I would have said that as well. That 11
escalated quick.
No. But I would have said, like, because there's a lot of times.
I was waiting for this to come up.
No, but
it's true. No, if he's a decent guy and you say that we're family friends, comes from a good family and whatnot,
you'd be like,
and it's just the fact that this is inappropriate.
Where's this finger? Just count how many years that is. That's all you need to wait.
We're 17, yeah.
To look at the camera and look back. But I'm saying that that's an opportunity to inform them that, okay, what do you need to do to put yourself into a position to be, you know what I mean, somebody
as opposed to stop stuff from my daughter and kick him out and cause issues.
This is your time to build,
and their kids as well. So if you do it in that way, what's gonna happen is that when they leave for school and whatnot, and you're not there, what are they gonna do? Do you know what I mean? So that's the balance. You need to teach them the why, so that they don't start doing stuff outside. And at the end of the day, because even if you teach them the why, they can still go ahead and start doing nonsense outside. That's the reality. But inshallah, we pray that by us raising them in a good way and teaching them, you know, the proper understanding of the religion, that they're able to then build from that and kind of a self.
Police.
Sorry?
Police or
regulate. Yes, self-regulate essentially. So, when we're not there.
So, is it worse for Muslims to have Muslim friends of the opposite gender, or for Muslims to have non-Muslim friends of the opposite gender?
I think it's there's theory and there's reality. For some reason, I can't tell you why. For some reason, it feels worse if you have a close relationship, like on a casual basis, with a Muslim girl, just because both of you know better.
It is worse.
Hold on. It feels worse.
No, it is.
Hold on.
Wait, sorry.
It feels worse. But in reality, because both of you know better, there's a line that you both won't cross.
I was going to say that.
When it comes to, I'm telling you, when it comes to these non-Muslim girls, so when it comes to non-Muslim girls,
they'll be praising you. Christian
this is what I was going to say. Hold on. That's the thing. There's a line that to them isn't an issue. There's a line that's not an issue. I'm telling you, for a fact. Why do you think we see so many of these, so many Muslim or Nigerian men marrying Christian? I know. So many of these Nigerian men marrying Christian women. It's not because they just met each other by accident. There's friendships, all that kind of stuff. There's closeness, and then it leads to what it leads to. But whereas you don't see as much, obviously, it's starting to increase nowadays. Muslim women chilling around Muslim men, non-Muslim men, if that makes sense. So essentially, all I'm saying is that when it's Muslim to Muslim, female, male, there's a line that's clear to both of them. That even if what they're doing is incorrect, there's a line that they know that inshallah they won't cross. When it comes to a non-Muslim woman, fam, that's fitna. Because she can stick it on you anytime, and then what? You're then having to then scramble or do whatever. That's why I think it's for me.
I don't think that's realistic. I do not think that's realistic.
What's that?
Especially you saying that there's a line that inshallah they won't cross.
That they know that they shouldn't cross. At least they know.
Okay, at least they know they shouldn't cross it. In today's age, that will not stop people from crossing it. It won't.
Who do you think is more likely to not cross the line? Muslim and Muslim, or Muslim and non-Muslim?
I think it's fluid.
It's the same.
I think it's the same.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Do you know what I say? Do you know what I say?
Do you know what I've heard recently?
Oh, go on.
Do you know what I've heard recently? I've heard people saying that the most insane things. I heard yesterday someone say, we booked a hotel so we can pray together.
Wow.
What? What?
Where are you hearing this though?
It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna say that's why.
This is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where I'm hearing it. It doesn't matter, fam.
Nah, that's nonsense.
That's what the time.
No. Don't say it.
No, you can't just discount that.
No. I'm gonna disregard that.
You can't. What? Can you disregard it?
Do you know how ridiculous that is?
Of course it is. It's ridiculous, but you can't disregard it because it's happening.
Nah, I don't believe that's a real scenario.
You can't disregard that.
That's the funniest thing I've heard.
It's insanity.
So pray what prayer?
It's insanity.
So that's a trouble, boy.
It's insanity.
Nah, I don't believe that.
But you can't disregard stuff like that.
Okay, cool, fair enough. Maybe that happened. That's not the norm.
Well,
That's definitely not the norm.
Listen,
I want to wake him up for suhoor.
Fam, I don't think you can say that's what you're normal.
Come on, man.
Listen,
Okay.
just because you're not surrounded by people that do that doesn't mean it's not the norm.
Yeah, it's true.
You can't say that.
But still, notwithstanding, do we think that's the norm? That's not the norm.
Of course it isn't. It's out there and it's happening. You can't just disregard it and say because it's not my reality. That means
I'm going to say there are some Muslim men and Muslim women who are friends who have crossed that line.
Okay.
I'm saying in general, on a general basis, because they're both Muslim, they understand. They have that element of self-regulation. They understand that line.
Yeah.
So they're less likely. Not necessarily it's impossible. They're less likely, because at the end of the day, if a Muslim man and a Muslim woman are together, as you say, are together, the third is shaitan, right? So anything can happen. I'm saying that if it's a Muslim man and a non-Muslim woman who doesn't understand that line, bro, do you know there's so many things that can be
100%.
that can be very. I would say on
She just says, this is a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
He's so kind. He's so good to his mother. Can the car and then go.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why. But that's the thing. I agree with you. It's a bit weird. Like,
Do you know it is, Testa? Remember, there are a lot of Muslim people.
Yeah.
Because you're basically answering the question from the point of view as if I feel like you're pooling the Muslim by name, family, people in with the non-Muslims. But there are a lot of people that are Muslim that are like the concept of anything practice. Like they're Muslim, but they might be doing all types of zina with other people, but they're still Muslim, and those are included in the Muslims.
Okay, when I say Muslims, I assume practicing.
Exactly.
Or to a certain level of practicing. If you can't. When I say Muslims, I don't think of Muslims that are committing major sins. Do you know what I mean? On a basis, on a constant basis, because even that's problematic. So when we say Muslim, people get minor sins here and there, and maybe one major sin here and that they've sought forgiveness for, but not people who are they're literally living in major sin. That's, to me, it's not Muslim. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making takfir of anyone, but I'm saying that when I'm saying the general aspect is the general Muslim that's striving.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair.
Okay,
that's
fine.
No, that's booking hotels to pray.
I think that's where the disparity was.
That's fair.
So for me, I guess if you boil it down, for me, if I'm thinking of the question, boiling it down, you're thinking of what's the main reason why Muslims shouldn't be friends with the opposite sex? It's because it will bring you closer to zina, the ultimate sin, the destructive sin, one of the great sins. Yeah. And why is it such a destructive sin? Because it ruins, the family structure, chastity, which is so important for the preservation of the religion. So it has all those kind of downstream effects in it. So that's why it's such a big thing. So with that context,
Let's rap.
What?
Need to rap.
I'll do it. Cool. With that context, what is more destructive to the preservation of the Muslim family? Muslims going out to do nonsense with non-Muslims, or Muslims doing it with other Muslims?
I'm saying Muslims do it with non-Muslims, because at the end of the day, you can still halalify it with a Muslim. There's still that possibility of halalify. Obviously, you can halalify with anybody, but it's easier to do it if she's a Muslim. So if you've got a Muslim guy that is has a girlfriend, even though that doesn't exist, but that's a Muslim girl, it's easy just to be like, bro, just do your nikah, make it halal, and you're cool. Yes, you can also then marry a Christian or some, anyone from the Abrahamic religions. But in today's day and age,
no one's coming.
That even some Muslims are problematic to marry, talk less of non-Muslim girls. So it's one of them ones where, for me, I would much rather us as a Muslim ummah be together than going out, because we're from Nigeria. We see the issues that we have where people are basically Christmas or whatever, half Muslim, half Christian. People legit grow up, and we find it funny.
Muslim.
They literally grow up thinking, confused. They're neither or. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's the reality of a lot of Muslims, and a lot of Muslims have lost their faith because of that. Their dad is Muslim but not really that practicing. Their mom's Christian, and they grow up and they're Christian, even though they have a Muslim name. The amount of people I've met with Muslim names, you look at both his names are Muslim.
I know.
Not to name names, but sorry, but I mean, that's the norm.
I know.
Can you imagine?
This guy's leading the choir.
Subhanallah, Abdul Kareem. So it's a problem. It's a problem. So
you should.
Okay, cool. In the interest, so essentially, you think if you're gonna have a friend,
I think both are wrong. Don't get me wrong. Of course. But my initial reaction is stay away from the Muslim girl. But in reality, it's actually better if he's doing that with a Muslim girl, so that it can be halal.
I think adding context to that with what you said makes sense. If you're going off the basis that you're both striving, then I would agree. That's probably the better option. But I guess people's realities are different. Like I said before, maybe I wouldn't say I have proximity, but maybe I see more of that kind of pool of Muslims who are, like you said, are just Muslim by name and not necessarily practicing. So in that scenario, that is probably like the worst thing ever. But because you know that there's a line that you shouldn't cross, and yet you still cross it anyway. If you get what I'm saying. So I guess context. The context is king in that situation, and it matters the most. So I guess if you're, like I said, if it's that kind of, if it's those two kind of Muslims who aren't striving, and I guess maybe just Muslim by name, then maybe for those kind of people, it's better to have non-Muslim friends of the same gender.
So it's always gonna be better to have a Muslim as your friend, right?
For me, my why I'm coming at is it? Do you know one thing I think that's an issue with our ummah today? I think probably one of the biggest issues is the fact that the standards have dropped and the lines have blurred between what is acceptable and what a good Muslim can do. And I feel like one of the biggest contributors to this is going to be when Muslims start doing bad things with other Muslims. Because if Muslims start to, the only way for standards to drop is when Muslims become acceptant of Muslims doing bad things, and that will only really happen generally when Muslims are doing those bad things surrounded by other Muslims doing those bad things. Whereas if all the zina was exclusively done if all the Muslims doing zina was exclusively done with non-Muslims, then chances are that would leave those who are not doing it in a better state.
And I thought the children that are products of those
the ummah. What happens to the ummah after that? Do you know what I mean? They're more. Those kids are more likely to be practicing if they've got. Anyway, we say more likely, but Allah's one.
It's like a quality quantity type thing.
I feel like this is.
I understand your point.
I feel like this is also part of the reason why, amongst other people, Islam is held in such a high regard. So a non-Muslim will see it. Yes, a non-Muslim will see a Muslim and be like, "Oh, are you not meant to be doing that?" And you can say there's a lot of parallels between Islam and Christianity, but Christianity is not held to the same regard.
The standard of Christianity.
If you start,
blurring the lines. To be fair, I'm just taking that your scenario at face value.
You saved me.
I actually don't know of any Muslims who do that, who are like boyfriend, girlfriend, or that kind of thing.
With other Muslims.
Like, this is what I'm trying to say. So that, to me, I've taken that as face value. I don't even see that as a reality. But I'm told that. Think of the older generation. The older generation,
like the older generation, in terms of
I know personally. Obviously, I heard stories, but I haven't seen that. It's not my reality.
Like our parents, or like the people that are like 40, our aunties and uncles type generation. Most of those, not most, but a lot of the a lot of the courting, especially I have this one in Nigeria. I'm gonna bring her back.
Yeah.
You know what type of in Nigeria? What type of relationship did that? Okay. So and even like if I'm moving it away from our Nigerian kind of, you see a lot of it, man.
Yeah.
Better of it.
Man,
the thing is,
I can't even imagine a hijabi woman like just having dates and boyfriend girlfriend with the guy. Like, I just can't. I haven't seen it. Or maybe I see it and I just assume now they're married. You know what I mean?
That's nice.
They're not.
Or so you see a hijabi girl?
No,
guys, like,
no.
Damn.
No, when I just think of all the Muslims, when I think of all the Muslims I know, like it's not a lot of it is not that process of especially ones that are married. It's not all of them or most of them that went through the traditional courting, marriage meeting type process. Nah. So I'm shielded from. So it's like for me, it's like I get it's like what you said. That barrier is there, which is almost like it prevents, and that's why I feel like as much as those couples that I'm talking about, I do probably still think that a lot of them probably would have not done before getting there. But in terms of the standard as a whole of what because one of the most dangerous things
you can still call it out.
You can still correct them.
Yeah, you can still call it out.
At least they've gone for a Muslim, so you're avoiding a bigger calamity down the line, which is the kids
leaving Islam. Because at the end of the day, a sinful Muslim is still better than a non-Muslim.
100%. Inshallah, we have that hope.
So this is why I say that I get your point, Sharifa. I didn't think about the whole standard. I didn't think about that, but. Even notwithstanding that's just a responsibility on us to make sure we call it out, that we don't become lax and say, oh, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah. The issue that other communities have is that it's accepted. Now there are practicing, I keep on saying Christians, but practicing Christians who I know, who dating and whatnot is norm. Like, and they're still held as a high regard that, you're cool. They can wear what they want and it's still held as high regard. But then in our community, that will never be the case. There's no brother that I know, a high profile brother or sister that I know that it has a boyfriend or girlfriend, vice versa, and it's still held in regard like, this guy is still practicing as someone that we should be thinking into. Huh?
For now, that's the thing.
No, that's what I'm trying to say.
They're two separate points, isn't it? We need to be mindful of it and call it out, but at the same time, to avoid that big calamity of the child leaving Islam,
or they leaving
themselves,
Islam,
of the person who's non-Muslim, or the person who is Muslim leaving Islam because their life is cushy with the non-Muslim.
Yeah. I think we've kind of conflated two things.
Yeah, I know.
We started off as friends, and then it's gone to basically getting married and relationships.
I mean,
no, as in because when we say you're friends, we know what that means basically.
I wasn't actually talking about that.
No, but I'll say this: any male or female that's friends, the only thing that's stopping them from committing zina is the girl. If the girl sticks it on the guy and and he finds her attractive, bruv, you think any guy that hasn't got religion to hold him down? Come on,
a lot of the time. But when it comes to the higher the standard of guy, the less likely that is to be the case.
The less likely he'll be friends with a girl like that in the first place.
Nah.
Which means higher standard in what regard?
In terms of that, a guy that's generally seen as as a reputable guy, or a guy that is of a good ilk in whatever community he's in, the more chance he's the narrative controller when it comes to his relationships with girls, for example.
But that's not you're talking about like 1 in 10. I'm thinking in general. The general basis.
The thing is, but most that's why most relationships between men and women aren't genuine. Most friendships aren't actual genuine friendships. Obviously, need to wrap up. But aren't genuine friendships. To be fair, we might have to pick this up properly another time because I actually wanted to get around.
Yeah, we need to wrap. Yeah,
boys and girls being friends, Muslims being friends. Severing ties or how do you distance yourself, etc. We'll have to do that another time.
Sorry, people. We'll leave you on that question. You can answer yourself and let us know if you think we're chatting rubbish or not. I don't
even remember. I can't even remember the narrative of that conversation. It just went a little bit. But anyway, it was good though. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. But yeah, you know what to do. Socials, we've already done that at the beginning. So yeah, Jazakallah khair to our guests for coming in. Obviously, we'll have you back at some point, inshallah.
One of you,
maybe even next week. We'll see.
Sorry, Tal. Yeah.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.